قرآني نبض حياتي، قرآني طهر ذاتي، قرآني عصمة أمري، قرآني طوق نجاتي. قرآني نبض حياتي، قرآني طهر ذاتي، قرآني عصمة أمري، قرآني طوق نجاتي. قرآني نبض حياتي، قرآني طهر ذاتي، قرآني عصمة أمري، قرآني طوق نجاتي.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. We continue with our discussion, social media in the light of the prophetic traditions. In our previous session, we had discussed some ahadith, and we continue with this. Keeping in mind that we said that although the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have been narrated many years ago, but the beauty of our deen, the beauty of our Islam, the beauty of prophetic traditions is that it is able to guide us even in today's time and in spite of the modern technology, and we can actually apply these ahadith to modern technology. Let's continue with the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and see how we apply them to modern technology and more so social media. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said in a hadith, sincere advice. Religion is sincere advice. Ad-deenun nasiha. And we said, to whom? He, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, to Allah, His book and His messenger, and to the leaders of the Muslims and their common folk. Now, the etiquette and the purpose of giving advice is an art that needs to be rediscovered in social networking age. People tend to get unnecessarily competitive on social media networks. Instead of giving advice, we try to prove someone wrong. Instead of giving advice, we try to prove someone wrong, or even force someone to acknowledge our point of view. Now, the purpose of advice is rectification. The purpose of advice is rectification and positive change. Now, keep this purpose in mind. It will guide you to the appropriate etiquette, such as advising someone politely, advising someone in private, as opposed to embarrassing them, as opposed to insulting them. So, be sincere in giving advice that you hope and fully expect to someday take advice from the one you are advising today. Sometimes we give advice not knowing that tomorrow the same person will be advising us and reminding us of our mistake. So when we give advice, give it advice with a correct intention. A deen is giving advice, but when you give advice in a way that you do not belittle someone, you do not dishonor someone. And social media is also a means, because we have such freedom that we can text the way we want to and what we want to. This brings us to the issue of forbearance. You have two characteristics that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes, said Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah said, you have two characteristics that Allah likes, forbearance and modesty. Now, forbearance is a difficult term to understand. Forgiving someone is something difficult to understand. It comes from the Arabic word hilm, same as the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Halim. Now, there are a number of connotations to this characteristic, all applicable to social media. It means forgiving those who wronged you, even it is your right to be upset. Even if you are rightfully in your right to be upset, but to forgive those who wronged you, even if it is your right to be upset with them. It means someone who attacks or someone who acts with wisdom. He takes time and he thinks deeply before reacting to something. It is another dimension of patience, one in which a person responds to harm with generosity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us despite our evil thoughts. And Allah will forgive us despite our inclinations. And this is a reminder to look inward. When faced with conflict, ask yourself what you may have harbored inside you to aid to a conflict, or what you may have done to trigger a reaction from someone. Remain calm, strong when angered. This brings you to the topic of anger management. A man said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Give me some advice." So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him a short, concise, comprehensive advice. And what did Rasulullah say to him? Do not become angry. The man repeated his request several times. And each time he said, "Give me advice," Rasulullah said, "Do not become angry." Due to the fast-paced nature of social media, it is very easy to get quickly frustrated or upset. Everyone has at some point fired off an angry text or fired off an email that they have later come to regret. If something is making you angry, do not respond to it. Let the email sit in the draft overnight. Bookmark it. The Facebook status, find some way to table the issue at least overnight. Look at it again with a clear head and then respond if you need to accordingly without being in the heat of the moment. In fact, even better, don't even respond. Because by responding, you are actually engaging yourself to be angered. And Islam teaches us not to be angry. Another hadith relating to social media relates to envy and hatred. Do not cut, says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do not cut another off, nor desert another, nor hate one another, nor envy one another. O worshippers of Allah, be brothers. It is not lawful for the Muslim to shun his brother for more than 3 days. The better of the two is the one who starts greeting the other. Two ahadith. One is discouraging breaking of ties, and the other is the better of the two is the one who starts greeting the other first. Now, envy is one of the major spiritual diseases of social media. Everyone's profile looks like a highlight reel of their life. It's easy to see how well everyone else is doing and start feeling envy towards one another. Be particularly careful of cutting people off or boycotting one another over something petty, over something personal. It is always encouraged to take the high road. And what is that? The high road of not being the bad or the worst person. Have the high moral. Continue your relationship with people, irrespective of what they have done to you. Another hadith with social media, the evil eye, the effects of the evil eye. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, the effect of the evil eye is a fact. The evil eye is what results after burning jealousy. A believer understands that jealousy destroys good deeds and tries to guard against it. A truly evil person, however, lets it go unchecked. When this happens, it causes a negative effect on the object of jealousy. It gives shaitan fuel to get to the other person. There is no harm in enjoying the blessings of Allah, but it is blameworthy to flaunt them in such a way as to make people feel bad or envious. The obvious method of this is flagrantly showing off your wealth, and possessions, but it can also apply to flaunting your spouse, your kids, and even experiences of exotic vacations. Remember that not everyone who has friended you on social media is actually your friend. Or not everyone actually wishes good for you. So utilize your social networks with caution. Sometimes in your enthusiasm, you may post some of your photos of a beautiful holiday that you had, not knowing whose evil eye is going to glance at those joyful moments of yours, and you may become the victim of shaitan causing his eye to cause harm to you. Stay tuned, inshallah. When we get back, we will continue with the ahadith relating to social media.
طوق نجاتي قرآني نبض حياتي قرآني طهر ذاتي قرآني عصمة أمري قرآني طوق نجاتي.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Continuing with our discussion, prophetic traditions and applying them to modern day technology and social media network. Another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, watch what you say. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, a person utters a word thoughtlessly. In other words, without thinking about its being good or not. And as a result of this, he will fall down into the fire of hell, deeper than the distance between the east and the west. This narration is a reminder of our etiquettes with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran regularly warns us about speaking without knowledge. We often feel pressured to say something or share our opinion on a matter, not realizing that we may be ignorant or incorrect. So be mindful of leaving a negative comment about someone. It is bad enough to say something in person, but online it becomes public and it becomes recorded. And you can imagine a one-liner that you post, multiplying bad deeds months and years out. So be careful of what you post. Then comes the issue of backbiting and gossip. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, among my people, the one who is bankrupt is the one who after praying, after fasting, and praying and paying his charity, arrives on the day of Qiyamah having cursed one person, slandered another, assaulted another, misappropriated the wealth of someone else. Then those people will be given of his good deeds. And if his good deeds run out before redress is made, then some of their sins will be taken from them and put upon him. Then he will be cast into Jahannam. Social media is a medium based on connections to others. And this generally lends itself to constantly talking about other people. Backbiting is one of the vilest sins in Islam. Allah says, do not spy or backbite each other. Would one of you like to eat the flesh of his brother when he's dead? You would detest it. So don't use this media to talk about others, to gossip about others, because you are actually engaged in backbiting. And because you are engaged in backbiting, it will have a detrimental effect on your deeds in this world and in the hereafter. Subhanallah, this is one of my favorites with regards to social media. Don't cause drama. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do you know what calumny is? They said, no, O Allah and His Messenger. Allah and His Messenger know best. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, telling people what other people have said in order to create dissension between them. Telling people what other people said with the intention of creating dissension between people. The person who spreads stories will never enter Jannah. A hadith of Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. This is sometimes done overtly and sometimes passively and sometimes aggressively. This is a particularly high propensity for doing these types of things by way of screenshots, emails, forwards to your best to ensure you never help further any type of split between two people. So do not spread issues about people, the snapshots that you send about people. It all falls into the category of causing drama. Then comes the issue about seeking likes. A man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, direct me to an act which if I do it, Allah will love me and people will love me." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, detach yourself from the world and Allah will love you. Detach yourself from what is with people and the people will love you. Now when it comes to social media, we are constantly seeking the approval of others. We carefully monitor our status updates to see the number of likes, the number of retweets, the number of comments we get. Our phones are set to alert us for every instance of this. We know of the top of our head how many friends and followers we have. That's about seeking the likes of people. Then another hadith that relates to social media, getting a cheap laugh. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Woe to him who tells things, speaking falsely, to make people laugh thereby. Woe to him, woe to him." Everything in the social networking age boils down to traffic. How many likes, how many views, how many comments, how many shares, hits can you get? When this is the bottom line and the way we seek validation, it forces us to compromise our principles. It forces us to compromise our judgment. And one unfortunate example of this is seeing Muslims making videos where they prank other people, where they prank people with some kind of devastating news just to get a reaction out of them and then post it on YouTube. This type of behavior, just to get views, is abhorrent to say the least, and in clear contradiction with the prophetic etiquettes of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another aspect with regards to this is don't create a fake persona. Don't use a fake identity. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, from the most evil of people is the two-faced person who shows one face to one group of people and a different face to another. Now it's always strange to meet someone that projects one thing online and something completely different in person. How you portray yourself online should be congruent with reality. This is something that goes both ways. Some try to appear more pious online, and some try to become more rebellious and represent yourself honestly on social media. Privacy. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if any person peeps at you without your permission, and you poke him with a stick, and you injure his eye, you will not be blamed. Our deen emphasizes going out of our way to protect people from harm. To poke someone's eye out of violating privacy shows its severity. Not everyone knows how to properly set their privacy settings. That is why it is an individual responsibility to respect others. One of the biggest pain points for privacy is respecting the hijab. This includes posting pictures without the permission of someone, and also creeping or stalking someone's profile. This is a serious issue that cannot be taken lightly. And this leads us to eavesdropping. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever eavesdrop on the conversation of other people when they do not want him to listen or they move away from him, molten lead will be poured into his ears on the day of Qiyamah. The key here is to understand what people do not want heard. A person may post something without understanding their privacy settings, or have a conversation that they did not want others to interfere. Their wishes in this must be strictly respected. Sometimes we also do seemingly harming, or sometimes we seemingly do harmless things that constitute eavesdropping, such as taking someone's phone and going through their text messages without their permission. This in itself is eavesdropping, and Sharia disallows that. Subhanallah. One of the other etiquettes, social etiquettes, is when you're sitting in a discussion, in a conversation, be present. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced the person he spoke to with his chest. He faced the person he spoke to with his entire body. When he addressed someone, he completely turned his face toward that person and did not give a side glance. A modern display of bad manners in our time has become conversing with one person while simultaneously texting someone else. Even the simple act of glancing at your phone while speaking to someone can give the impression that you have something better to do than speak to this person. Be fully present in your conversations with others, especially when it comes to your parents, when it comes to your spouse, and when it comes to your children. Also excluding the third person. When three people are sitting together, then two of them should not hold a secret conversation excluding the third person. Wait to be in a larger group so as to not upset the other person. It is amazing how applicable this is in our times. What is reference here is for two people to not speak secretly to one another whilst in a group of three, because it makes the other person feel excluded. We find that this happens commonly now, and the greatest example being two people texting each other to exclude someone else in their company, while trying to make it look like they are texting someone else. These are some of the advices from the prophetic traditions, although are very much general, but can be equally applied to our etiquette with social media. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the true understanding of our deen, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to apply the prophetic traditions in our day-to-day lives, especially in the field of social media. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قرآني نبض حياتي، قرآني طهر ذاتي، قرآني عصمة أمري، قرآني طوق نجاتي. قرآني نبض حياتي، قرآني طهر ذاتي، قرآني عصمة أمري، قرآني طوق نجاتي. قرآني نبض حياتي، قرآني طهر ذاتي، قرآني عصمة أمري، قرآني طوق نجاتي. قرآني نبض حياتي، قرآني طهر ذاتي، قرآني عصمة أمري.